Hello, fishies! Welcome back to another Smash mural. Again, we are continuing in our spoopy month. I hope you guys are enjoying this October. I feel like we haven't done too much personally over here for Halloween, but I'm working on trying to sew a couple costumes. But I also don't know how to sew very well. But that's why it's nice to have good friends. Anyways, this week's character is Richter from Castlevania, which I have never played, which I'm sure does not surprise you, because there are a lot of these games that I have never played. But all I know about Castlevania is vampires. Vampires exist. And I don't know how many of you guys also went through a random vampire phase. But also I grew up where I was, 12 when Twilight came out, so prime vampire obsession age. I don't know. I unironically still like Twilight. I feel like they're fun. They're really cheesy though. You don't read them to consume art, you read them because you want something cheesy about vampires. I used to be so obsessed. I had so many different books about various paranormal romances. I mean, a lot of them were vampire based. There was also just cat people and ghosts. Don't look at me weird. I was into cat people before I knew I was a furry. It's fine. Don't worry about it. With the 9 Lives of Chloe King was the name of that series, but I only had the first book and I couldn't ever track down the rest. I mean, when I say first book though, it was a combination of the first 3 books. It was a manga omnibus book. Probably should read it again. It was kind of fun. I've also been rediscovering a bunch of old books because I'm unpacking a bunch of stuff that my mom had left from when I moved out but did not pack all of my crap. So, unpacking is always a joy. It's like Christmas roulette. You never know what you're gonna find, but there's a lot of boxes to unwrap. But a little bit more about the character, now that I have successfully, completely sidelined myself. I was reading a little bit about it. I guess the entire kind of basis for his story is he is a descendant of Simon and, all Belmonts. Yeah, that's the last name. I almost said Bergamot, but that's an orange. Anyways, their entire legacy is to defeat vampires, and they're famous for it, and the vampires just, decide to come back from the dead every time a new one is born and old enough to defeat a vampire, allegedly, from what I read. But Richter's nah, I'm just gonna bring it back myself so I can have not just one vampire story, but all of them, and I will be famous. Also, some dude in a mansion who decided to convince this guy that that was a good idea. Because reanimating the dead is always a good idea. It never turns out terrible. It's totally not like that's an entire basis for a game series where you have to try not to die and kill vampires over and over and over again. But I mean, if they didn't make stupid mistakes, there would be no game there. There would just be oh, just wait 100 years, do it again, continue next time. Which would make for far more boring gameplay than probably what it is. I've never played Castlevania. I did see the Dead by Daylight. That's what it's called, right? Yes. I totally mispronounced that. But you guys know what I'm talking about. The game with the horror killers and trying to survive. Anyways, they had a Castlevania update, and I think it's really cool, like the big old castle in the background, and just the very spoopy ambiance of it. It just reminds me of, like, you know, those classic Dracula and Frankenstein movies. Just the kind of eerie, spoopy vibe. It's not, like, quite scary, but it's just kind of, like a chill on the back of your neck. I think it's a lot of fun. I think ambiance is very important for games. I think it definitely makes or breaks a game. But also, I'm the type of person who plays video games that I find to be pretty. So, don't take my word on everything. I don't even know what systems all the games for Castlevania are on. Are there any versions on the Switch? I only have access to a Switch, a GameCube, and a Wii. You know, all the ones that were nostalgic from my time period. I don't know. There is a version for the Switch? Okay. Maybe I'll look into it. Maybe next spoopy season we'll randomly play Castlevania. Oh, it's the full collection? That's neat. Maybe then I can tell you the actual story instead of procrastinating and telling you about how I enjoyed the Interview with a Vampire movie from the early 2000s. There were so many, like, cheesy vampire movies. There still probably is. I also remember that weird series on, like, Disney XD that was about, like, a vampire being a babysitter. And all the witchcraft and shenanigans that ensued from that. I saw a random video essay for it the other day, and I was like, hey, I remember watching that when I grew up. I don't know. There's a lot of fun content on YouTube. You guys out there who make content, you're probably doing great. It's not easy. And I've been thinking about, like, rereading through the Twilight books just to relive that simpler time in my life, because life is just hectic and annoying sometimes as being an adult. And I don't know, there's just something nice about just going back to something familiar and rereading it, because it's just like, you know exactly where it's gonna go. This is why I have such a hard time buying new books. Because I want to just go and enjoy the ones I'm already comfortable with instead of having to get to know a new one. Because, like, when you get into a book, it's kind of rough sometimes, because, like, the first couple chapters you're just like, ew, do I even like this? But, you know, I've also done a little bit of writing, and I know that the authors probably felt the exact same way about their first couple chapters. So I guess, I don't know, it's kind of fun to think about it both ways. I have a lot of, I mean, Caspian over there, he is more of a writer than I am. He is a lot better at storytelling. I just mostly do art and make pretty things. Though, I mean, I could write if I wanted to. I don't have a lot of patience for a lot of things, and writing takes a lot of patience. And I have a coworker who's trying to write an entire, like, manga, and, you know, kudos to him for the writing, but he's, like, so stumped on all the art and everything, and I'm just, like, trying to help him with that? I don't know. Teaching someone how to do something that you're good at is always kind of difficult, because you never know exactly where their starting point is. But everything takes practice, and you slowly get better as the further you get along with it. Anyways, I thank you guys for watching, and make sure to hold on to the end, because of course we always have a sneak peek to the next week, as well as a look at the gigantic masterpiece that this is all going towards. So, I don't know if I would always consider it a masterpiece, but it sure was a lot of work. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye!